Welcome back to the channel. Is the stock market crash off the board? Are we going absolutely parabolic? Everything you need to know in this video regarding the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 and trading into the remainder of the week. All I ask you to do is consider liking and subscribing. Let's get to it. Now, what I want to mention is what I was talking about Monday and Tuesday. Now, going into Monday and Tuesday, I thought you would get some upside, maybe to 13.3. That would be like your top side going into the Fed meeting. You just got Fed news and the overall what happened from this. I'm going to be very clear with what I said, and I was wrong about how we reacted from this news right now. So from this news, I said if you started to have this uptrend going into this range like this, I anticipated some downside from the overall rate hike and things like that, and I suspected downside like this. Didn't quite play out. I can admit when I'm wrong. And when you come to this channel, you need to know that I am not always going to be correct. This is just my opinion and how I'm looking at the market. But one thing I did say is that any trade would be extremely risky going into this meeting. If you did some strangles, that was kind of the most profitable way. But ultimately, when we go into this, this is where your Fed meeting happened, all inside this box right here. This was your Fed meeting overall. That was it. So you had an initial pop, you came back down, you popped back up. What was happening? What were the key bullet points? Now I want to go over some things that were said here. Now this was the Fed statement, and I want to highlight the biggest thing that was said from the meeting before I even get into reading any of that is the fact that a 0.75 hike is not on the board according to Jerome Powell. Those are his words. He says they're not considering or even talking about it. And that's when you saw this go parabolic. So before we cover anything else, you need to know that is exactly what Powell said. And that's the most bullish statement that he could have possibly said for the economy, and just saying that overall. Now, he went into some talks about inflation and how there's concerns about that, but we're going to get into and read the statement really quick. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole thing because you didn't come here to hear me read a paragraph to you, but the biggest things are regarding the economic activity regarding inflation. Now, he did say, in addition, COVID-related lockdowns in China are likely to exacerbate supply and chain disruptions. This is going to continue to be a problem right here. That's why even companies like Apple not giving you overall outlooks because they don't want to scare investors. But you still have the possibility of beating expectations, things like that. That's kind of good, but they're still shady at the maximum. And Powell did come out and say that it is a very big concern regarding supply chain and inflation right now, and that they are not in the clear, and that there is cause to possibly raise rates in the future. However, again, his words, not mine. They are not even talking about that right now. He also did mention the economic easing that will start to take place very soon, and how they are starting to do that very, very soon, June 1st. Now, this is what people need to talk about right here. The committee seeks to achieve maximum employment, which you're already at maximum employment, just so you know, and inflation at the rate of 2% over the longer run. Now, people in chat, I live streamed the Fed rate decision and the overall statement. People were saying that this was regarding where they want to get interest rates to. And no, they do not want to get interest rates to 2%. No, the goal that they've said and keep saying is 3 to 3.5%. This is where they want to get inflation down to. And inflation is currently at 8.5%. So you want to get down 6.5% pretty quick. And you got to keep raising rates. And the big concern going into the next few weeks is, how is data going to come back and affect this? Is data going to show that, this is helping inflation? Is it actually bringing it down? Are there controllables in there? That's the big issue. So the next thing to look forward to after that is going to be June 1st when they start cutting back and they start easing. That's going to be big. I anticipate that's going to hurt the economy a little bit there. But overall, it was a pretty decent statement on what he was saying. He pointed out the obvious, the concerns regarding inflation, elevated supply and demand issues, pretty big issue. And he did say a lot of the issues regarding inflation were not controllable by the Fed. Now, I think this goes into two parts to where they are kind of and I do think this goes kind of into two parts. We're saying the invasion and related events. He's blaming it on COVID still and the invasion in Ukraine. However, there are issues going on here, which we're going to get into here in the video, that are definitely making inflation go up even more rapidly even without these issues happening right now. And that's why you've been rising over the past year. So going back to Nasdaq, what I think is going to happen here? You came back up to about 13.5. You're hitting a resistance right here. And this is kind of the order block you're sitting in between 13.6 all the way to 13.54. You're getting rejected there. Going over to the S&P 500, how you're reacting here? You're hitting local highs at roughly 429, 430. You're sitting below that right now. If you get above 430, in my opinion, you're going closer towards 437, 436. That will happen pretty quick, and that's more of a day trade viewpoint if that's what you're into. Longer term, what am I looking at? How am I adjusting to this? What am I visualizing on the market? I don't think this puts you in a long-term bullish scenario. I want that to be abundantly clear, because as we look at the yields, as we look at what's happening regarding the yield inversion and going into a recession, which Powell also did comment on, which I'll talk about here in a second, you are still rising. And we're following the same trend that we had last time. This is when you had your decision last time was right here. You popped up and then you came down and then you proceeded to run. It's kind of happening once again. You are getting a move down, as you can see right now, and I do anticipate more upside over the coming days, weeks, whatever you want to say. That's my personal opinion. As we look at the 10-year yield flat just alone, you can see it how it's moving up just on the day. You have moved up pretty rapidly, and you're continuing to go up over the past week and a half. You'd hit lows about 2.7, but you're sitting at roughly 2.9 and just chilling there. This is indicative that you're continuously rising on this yield inversion, which is one of the key signs to an overall flip. Now, also looking at other bonds, you continue to go down. You had a little bit of buyers stepping in for TLT, but in my opinion, you're still in that downtrend. No one has confidence in these bonds, and they anticipate more rate hikes, which, yes, are going to continue to come, which TLT bonds will continue to drop. Now, you did get a bounce on HYG, which is very indicative of the overall market on corporate bonds and high growth companies. Now, you can see, again, you are still in the downtrend. This is the easiest way to tell if you're sitting in this downtrend, is how are you reacting to those key levels. So you can still see, yes, you're still sitting in that. Maybe you get a pop up, but you really need to come out and look at the overall channel and broad scale of what's really happening here. Because even last time you were in that channel to the downside, but guess what happened? You slightly broke above and then came crashing back down. So all in all, you need to get above key levels here, and you're just not getting those breaks locally right now. Now you're getting a pop up on some of these bonds, but in my opinion, it doesn't indicate to a full flip on the market to being quote unquote bullish. And I don't believe you're going to get the same type of run we had last time to where you went straight parabolic 50 points to the upside. Now, again, I'm not biased. I'm going to give you an honest viewpoint. So tomorrow, I think we need to really take a step back and wait and see how they're going to print on the weekly and how big of a weekly correction you get back to the upside. You need to take into account, though, you do not have earnings to help you here. And inflation numbers, if they come out bad, once again, you will see a massive decline. I promise you. If inflation numbers come out higher than 8.5%, I promise you, you will break below the lows that you have set already, which is locally between 410 and 405. Again, if the inflation numbers come out worse than they were previously, you will break, in my opinion, past 400 and make new lows down there. So right now, I think you're going to be kind of going up and down, pinballing back and forth in these ranges like this. Maybe not hitting all the way back down to 405, 410, but maybe a little bit higher around 415, 417. I think you're just going to pinball until you get some of that news coming out. And everything that they said in this meeting was very much highlighting all the worries. Powell was not gloating. He was not extremely happy with the way things are going. He says he has confidence in the market, but he still sees the possibility of things going downhill. So you just need to keep your head on a swivel watching these key points. But in my opinion, yes, today it was relatively good news. So if you start breaking above this key level, just in reminder, if you start breaking above these key levels, like 429, 430, you will run, in my opinion, 436, 437 there. The Nasdaq, where do I have you there? If you break above this key level here and getting above 13.6, you have room to run back to 14 flat. Just my personal opinion, it's highly likely 13.8, 14 flat. That's where you're going to be running almost in a hurry, possibly triple topping back up there, 14.3. So you got to keep all these on your radar. But as we look back at VIX and how volatility is affecting us right now, you're dropping massively here. And if you look at how you're reacting based on this Fed meeting, this is pretty bullish for indexes as well. So as we look here, we got to take a step back, wait till the end of the week. I'll have a better update on Friday just to see how markets are completely reacting. But as of right now, we have a soft bottom until inflation comes out. I want it to be said, I don't think you'll break below these lows quite yet, at least until we get the new inflation numbers coming out soon. That's gonna wrap the video up. If you got anything else, consider liking, consider subscribing. Every single day I'm giving you the videos regarding the market and how we are moving going into the next day and the weeks regarding fundamentals and technicals. Have a good one, traders.